Hey guys, Annie here from GirlsGamesGags. Welcome to another episode of Warhammer Wednesday. Today I'm gonna be kind of doing a bit of a walkthrough slash tutorial slash guide of my latest model. Introducing my Ghost Ark. Woo, woo, woo. Oh my goodness, such a challenge guys, such a challenge. But so much fun, so worth it. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you how it started and how we got to this stage. Hope you enjoy. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like us and leave any comments if you want to. So this is how it all began guys, that flat packed piece of plastic. First tiny component, and there's a few small components in this model, in this particular kit, so please be careful you don't lose anything. I started by part building one compartment of the model and used that first for priming and painting because I wanted to make sure I got good coverage rather than join it all together first off. I did the top part of the model before I went on and moved on to my tiny little Necron babies, which you can see being developed here. They come along very nicely. There's 10 in total, really fun to build, but again, lots of tiny pieces, so please be careful. And there they are, all ready to be added later on as well. Next, we began building the individual arch pieces. So these arches effectively give you the shape of the arc. These will all join together to give you the overall shape of the arc. And here you can see me priming these pieces with just some cheap primer I've gotten from a local store. You can use branded obviously, just as long as you're getting a good coverage to make your paint stick really well. So after I'd primed my model, I decided that I was going to do a scheme that required a black undercoat. So this is the undercoat I did for my models. I've used the Citadel Black, which gives great coverage, and I've used this for most of my Necron scheme by now. And as you can see, the application, although it looks really messy, works really well. Flip them over and do the other side once they are dry. So here's more examples of the tiny components that you need. I had to individually paint all these because I was part building. There you can see all the Necrons together with the arches, and this is the next stage. So here I am dry brushing all the components I've painted black so far with Retributor armour. Now this dry brush effect is to kind of make it look brassy and ancient and aged, and because the idea of my scheme was to make it look old. Necrons are pretty much the oldest race and the oldest faction in the whole of the Warhammer universe, I believe, so that's why I went for this particular scheme. Really effective, really easy, and just generally a really awesome method to go for, so I highly recommend it. For the next stage of my painting, I was applying the Nailac oxide. So this is to give like the rusty effect. Now the method of doing this is by painting on the technical paint quite thick and then rubbing the excess off by using, like, you can use your finger, you can use your hand, you can use kitchen roll, whatever it is you want. But you're putting it on really thick and in excess and then kind of smoothing it off, and it'll sink in nicely to the recesses. So I've slowed down a bit the video here. This is just me cracking on through all the Necron pieces here, but I've done a slow-mo version here so you can see exactly what it is I was doing. Hey guys, so I thought I'd give you a little bit more of a close-up of what it is I'm doing. And we're using the Nailac oxide. I think that's how you say it, Nailac. And the idea is to make our crones look rusted, old, like they're leaking acid, almost like battery acid. So a really cool effect. So as you'll see, I've managed to prime everything in black. I sprayed them all black, dry brushed in Retributor armour, and now we're going to do the effect. So shake your paint well, obviously. It's a technical paint, so make sure you are shaking it really well. Make sure you see all this in focus. And really, I'm applying it like as thick as I possibly can to get a more prominent effect on particularly like the joints and and any of the exposed parts of the Necron, so not so much the armour, more like the skeletal pieces. And you'll be able to see. I then use a kitchen roll to rub off the excess, and it sinks in nice into the recesses there. You can see, hopefully, to give you that effect. Same again, just a quick run through to show you a bit more about the technique. You can be as messy with this as you like. You can coat your entire model if you like, or just go for specific parts that you want to have the aged, corroded looking effect. I was kind of going for like the rib cage and spine here. I was happy enough with those components, but you can do whatever you like. So I've seen people do it for like the tops of their shoulder blade parts and that. It's just whatever works for you. Trial and error. Different metallic colours will bring out different shades and variations of this technique. If you go for more like reddier colours or silvery colours, it's going to look different than the gold I've used here. So again, experimentation, guys, that's what it's about. If I could go back and do it again, I'd maybe go for a slightly more redder one, because I think that would look even more cool. But I was really happy with how these guys turned out as it stands. So yeah, hope you like them too. Here I am again applying the same technique, but this time we're doing it on the individual arches that will make up the arc. So I've just gone for the top sections and the creased sections here again that looks like just the mechanical parts of the arches. I'm calling them arches, but you understand, just like the horseshoe shaped components that will make up the arc. So yeah, just around about where the joins are on this, because again, I thought that would look more effective. I like to retain some of the brassy gold look, and I think it worked really well. Here's the finished components, and not forgetting we had a little mistake. I spilled about half the pot, which was kind of depressing, but hey ho, it happens to the best of us. Here you can see me piecing all the parts together. So the Necron we're fitting into these tiny slot holes on these arches, and then combining all of the individual arch pieces, the horseshoe shaped pieces, together to make one sort of train effect. And in this video you can see how they all look stacked up nicely. Really fiddly in some parts to keep them all in place and lined up and with the glue. So take your time, it's not something you can rush. But again, I think it looks absolutely amazing when you see it part built like this. So these are the two parts. The main part where the driver is sitting there with a dictator finger ready to get his Necrons out to war. And that left me with the weaponry, which gets attached to the side. So again, I individually hand paint all these tiny little pieces. A couple of little screw holes added to the end of those. And this is the model upside down, so you can see where I was attaching the gun slots. This makes the very front piece of the conjoining components. So again, just showing you there. And the moment of truth. So as you can probably see from my relief face, I was so delighted once it had all come together. Left overnight to dry, obviously, and make it really strong. But I felt so accomplished once I'd pinned it all together. Trying to get everything in line can be very challenging, but so worthwhile. And here he is mounted on his base. And it's a nice clear base you get with it. I've never had one of those before. First time I've done a model like this. Very happy with it. So that's a little guide on how I managed to build my Ghost Ark. I hope some of the information helped. I've had a lot of compliments on the scheme. I just want to give a shout out to my bud, John, who was really instrumental in helping me with that. I had ideas in my head of how I wanted it to look. I wanted it to look really old and aged, and I wasn't really sure of the process to go through that. I figured it would have been more silvery metallics, but the the Retribution armour worked really, really well. So big shout out to him for that. It's definitely fun to experiment, and I really recommend getting your hands on something like this to try for yourselves, because you just feel so accomplished afterwards, so delighted. So I hope some of my hints and tips give you some inspiration. It's first time I've kind of did a tutorial full length like that, so I know I've probably missed a lot of pieces, but yeah, I hope some parts of it help, especially telling you to like part build, part paint instead of smashing it all together, because it'd be far too difficult to try and go in and paint all these individual components had it been fully built, which is my usual go-to stance. So I'm learning, like I said, always learning, and always thankful for any sort of feedback anyone wants to give as well. Until next time, see you next week.